for those that may have forgotten, today is Christmas. And I think probably everybody remembers that and has. I hope you've had a very good day. Hello, Paul, with your family and friends, because that's what Christmas is about to a large extent: getting together and having these big lunches, big dinners, eating a lot, and so it's a day for bringing people together. And of course, the usual phrase, isn't it, that we use, that's often used in regard to Christmas, is peace and goodwill to everyone. And I use this on Sunday, actually. You may be familiar with it. And it's usually, you don't hear people saying it, actually. You mainly read it on greeting cards or on advertising, isn't it? But it is the message of Christmas. And of course we can ask, does Buddhism have an emphasis on peace and goodwill? Wow, big time. That's what I was saying on Saturday. And what's more, because often when we read or we hear those words, peace and goodwill to everyone, there's no understanding, no explanation how you develop that peace, how you develop that goodwill. But in Buddhism, there's heaps of advice on how to do that. And that's something which is very helpful for us. Because, of course, the goodwill part, I'm going to focus on the peace part, but the goodwill part is, of course, metta. And there are lots of, I often, when I'm doing something at Christmas time, I do a metta meditation this evening. And people always need metta. We always need to develop this goodwill. I call it friendliness. Some people call it loving kindness or kindness. These sorts of feelings, these sorts of emotions. So very, very important. But of course, the Buddhist path is the path of peace. It definitely is. And this is the aim. And we're leading right up to the ultimate peace of nibbana, of enlightenment and nibbana. And this is the peace that the Buddha mentions as being the happiness, that there's no higher happiness than this, than peace. So I know for most people they think peace, happiness? No, no. But it is, as our understanding, our wisdom grows, we appreciate more and more. The reason people don't often appreciate peace is they've never experienced it really deeply. And this is, of course, where meditation kicks in, because when people get that taste of peace, that's a stillness that is accompanied by joy and happiness, wow, they really want more of that. And the connection between peace and happiness, as we develop the meditation, as we develop our wisdom, that becomes much more obvious. And as I mentioned on Sunday, yesterday, it seems a long while ago, the whole path of Buddhism can be described as a path of peace. And giving and sharing is something that can bring peace and happiness to us and to others. And it can bridge the problems that we have sometimes in our relationships with others and even with ourselves. Because when we give, we create connections with others. And people really enjoy receiving. And so giving and receiving, this is the human experience, really. And if we do both of them well, this is something that will bring happiness to us. And of course, giving can be, like at Christmas time, many material gifts. So people definitely appreciate that. But of course, as I mentioned on Sunday, the immaterial gifts we can give, giving time to people, not being in a rush, being there for them, is really something that's big. It's a real big gift, as is listening to people. Often that goes together with having time for people. As I commented recently, everybody is so busy. This is the opposite of peace. And so much of that busyness, as we all realise, is in the mind, really. I'm so busy, in our to-do list. But One of the biggest, I didn't mention this on Sunday, the biggest gift is sharing Dhamma, isn't it? Sharing the Dhamma, the Buddha's teaching, the wisdom about reality, about our understanding of life. And this can be very helpful for us to share with others. Oftentimes, we have to, when we share Dhamma, we have to be very skillful and not phrase it too much in Buddhist terms if they're not Buddhists. So it can be, and that clears away the confusion that's in many people's mind about the nature of reality. And I mentioned on Sunday, Ajahn Brahm said the gift we can give this Christmas is forgiveness. Forgiveness to ourselves, that's big time, that's pretty hard, and to others as well. So we don't carry the rubbish of the past with us into this new year that's coming next week. And of course, ethical living too, this is another part of the path that brings peace. If you want to see disharmony, the opposite of peace, if you want to see a lot of drama, I say break the 5 precepts. And these 5 precepts, as most people know, is to avoid killing, avoid stealing, avoid sexual misconduct, avoid lying, and avoiding alcohol and drugs that lead to carelessness. And I often say, if the world observed these 5 precepts, it will never happen. There'd be incredible peace in the world, there'd be harmony. It would be like heaven on earth, because it would bring harmony, a sense of safety when people know they can trust others. Trust is a big part, but it brings peace. So this is not only a gift to others, but to ourselves too, because we get the consequences of our actions of body, speech and mind. They come back to us. They're the boomerangs that come back to us, sometimes instantly actually. And of course, meditation is a big part of the Buddhist path, and it's so important for developing peace, for developing wisdom. And we do that. This is the biggest gift of peace we can give to ourselves and to others. And this is a very tangible way of experiencing peace, because when the mind comes together, when we are mindful, then the mind is in the present moment. And when the mind is coming together, it's letting go of all the things that make us unpeaceful, that disturb the peace. And this is the beauty of meditation, actually. And of course, you know, the breath meditation, famous meditation that the Buddha practiced himself, Anapanasati, is really a progressive development of peace when you look at it. And it's because when you focus on the breath is a very calming, sometimes too calming, calming object for our meditation. Oftentimes we're meditating here, we're using the breath, and we'd hear the sounds of people relaxing from the back of the room. Not you, Jack. Snoring. It's definitely very peaceful. And also people are often very tired because we have very busy lives. And so you come, you sit, you stop, you watch the breath, and then before you know it, snoring away. So, but peace comes when we're just in the present moment. You know, this is mindfulness, being present with what we're experiencing here and now, and letting go of the past and future. That brings for peace. That brings up peace for us, because often the past, wow, we think, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't said that. Or wish they hadn't said that or done that. That's the other side of it, isn't it, really? And also the anxiety or the fear about the future, isn't it? That, you know, what's going to happen? It's, you know, this could happen, that could happen. Will I be able to deal with this? Or, you know, and so on. Or what's happening in the world? That can be a worry. So this is brings peace when we're in the present moment. And of course, when we come to the silent present moment, this is asking a lot. Actually, it's quite a big progress when all the thinking dies down and fades away or goes into the background. Then there's even more peace in the mind. And of course we can have absolute silence in the mind. And anybody that's experienced that in meditation, wow, that is stunning, that is so peaceful. You just realise, wow, how noisy this mind is. It's like we've been living by a noisy road all this time. We just realise it, how noisy it is. And this is the beauty of the silence. And of course the breath, when we go to the breath, then the mind is focusing in the silent present moment on the breath, coming and going, coming in and going. And the whole breath, when we're aware of more and more of the breath, as we're aware, as our focus goes to anything but the breath in this case, then so much drops off. So many of the things that disturb our mind reduce. And of course, the meditation develops more and more. That focus starts to become very pleasant. We calm it down and it becomes very pleasant. And this joy and this happiness comes up. And that actually even adds to the peace too. And then the experience of the mind that is coming together, this focusing, this samadhi arising in the mind. And of course, when somebody goes into deep meditation, one of the things you'll hear from people when they have those experiences, wow, was that so peaceful? That's like peace I've never experienced before, so incredibly tangible. So this is the peace of the mind that's gone within itself. And the reason it's so peaceful? We've cut off from the five senses. We've gone inside the mind. And also the five hindrances, the negativity in the mind, that's gone too. And so this is a very peaceful mind. It's incredibly peaceful for those that go into deep meditation. And of course, with the meditation, because I say medication, the medication on the breath, it doesn't end there. After the experience of deep meditation, then of course developing wisdom. And wisdom is this can be where we experience peace big time. And in terms of anapanasati, the meditation on the breath, of course, the first thing is impermanence, focusing on the impermanence of things we experienced in the meditation, the things that disappeared when we were in the meditation, and when we come out of it, we realise what was missing in that experience, what had gone, things that we always thought were part of experience, our experience anyway. So we see anicca, and we see fading away. We see the fading away of desire and craving, wanting, those sorts of things. And this is leading to this ending, cessation of these negative states of mind, particularly the craving, the wanting for sense experience. We see that faded away in the meditation. And not only was it peaceful, it was happiness. People think, how can you be happy if you're not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching stuff you like? But there we are. And then, of course, that gives rise to this letting go that leads to enlightenment, to awakening. So this wisdom is big-time peace. It's really big-time peace. And we're seeing the nature of reality, which is always the same. It's isn't it interesting? It's the one thing that doesn't vary, is that things are impermanent, transitory, changeable, changing, unreliable. But they also, they are not fully, we cannot find that they're unsatisfactory, because we cannot get permanent happiness. Because in an impermanent system, a system of change, how is getting something, permanent happiness possible? Getting what we want to stay that way. And that's the difficulty. That's the human dilemma condition, isn't it, really? And then seeing that this whole process was really just a process of body and mind. Yes, we have personalities and characters, but it was actually due to causes and conditions that this experience, that the life is running on. So this wisdom allows us to become peaceful. It allows us to accept things as they are. Most of the time, the lack of peace we're experiencing is fighting with reality. That's the big problem. And of course, the more we develop this insights, we develop the stages of awakening, stages of enlightenment, the 4 stages. There's more and more peace that comes with each stage of enlightenment, until someone is fully enlightened, fully awakened, and they are fully at peace with the way things are, and ready to let things finish. And what will finish, of course, is being reborn. And that is why there is no happiness higher than peace. And of course the Buddha mentions nibbana is the highest happiness too. So there we are. And nibbana and peace. Nibbana is this extinguishment, this going out of causes and conditions. And this extinguishment, the Buddha says, is peace. And this is the happiness of peace too, that we know. And he describes it as a workman, like a work person, waiting for their wages, a worker waiting for their wages. Feet up, relaxed, on holiday, vacation coming, finished. So this is is peace. And of course in this meditation this guided meditation on peace, we can assist this process by developing perceptions and feelings that bring up peace for us. And of course, in this one, I will be using, there's any number of things actually that can bring up a feeling of peace. One of the big ones for most people is being in a natural place, being in nature, being in a forest, being near a mountain, a lake, the sea. And it's very soothing for the mind. And we often feel, or people often feel, when we're walking in a park or walking in nature, how calming it is and how pleasant. We can let go of some of the difficulties that we may have at the moment. This is why, actually, these forest monasteries, I live in a forest monastery in Newbury, outside Melbourne. Living in a monastery, that's part of the medicine of the Dhamma, because the environment is very peaceful, calming, soothing. It's not the sort of environment that we live in the city, that everything's aimed at stimulation, getting your attention, stirring you up, getting you wanting. Actually, a lot of it is about encouraging a lot of desire, especially to buy things. But there are other places too, monasteries and meditation centres, churches. Sometimes they have a very peaceful feel to them. And when we bring them to mind, they can bring up peace. And of course, some people you meet, you can meet people who've really got a peaceful feel, and then that brings up the perception of peace. And when we get the perception of peace, then we get the feeling of peace coming with it. And sometimes objects, like the Buddha statue, they can be very peaceful, or a stupa that can bring up peace for us, or Bodhi trees can too. And the Buddha, of course, he mentions too that there's a recollection of peace. We won't do it tonight. It's very, it's really like the recollection of nibbana. So it's a very, because nibbana's nature is peace, this extinguishment, and that can lead to developing this perception of peace and feeling of peace even more. He describes it as leading to, this is the peace that is turning away from the 5 sense world, leading to us disengaging from all those desires for the 5 sense world, and also for all this craving and wanting which disturbs our peace a lot, to cease. And then he says, this is the sequence the Buddha often used, then peace. We have this experience of deep, deep peace, and then direct knowledge, which is really the enlightenment experiences, and then enlightenment, and then nibbana. And if it leads in that direction, it's leading to more and more peace. So this is what we can do to bring up peace. peace in the mind, just to bring up something that we associate with peace, that has brought up peace for us before. And today we'll use nature. That's a good one. And then when we have got this feeling, we infuse the meditation object with that peace. And we'll do that today as well, this evening. So we can do a guided meditation for about 45 minutes, and then we see if there's any comments, questions or complaints. I don't feel peaceful. So good luck, we'll see how we go. And so, to begin the meditation, we can close our eyes if we feel comfortable with closing the eyes. And come into the present moment, where we have nothing we need to do for the moment and nowhere we have to go. We can just be here in the present moment, at peace with whatever we're experiencing in the present moment. And we can give attention to the body, just how the body is, and make any adjustments that improve the balance in the body and the comfort of the body to make it comfortable for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, 40 minutes. Just checking it out, this body of ours. And having made any adjustments we need, we can give this body a mental massage. And I know the body really enjoys this mental massage, this relaxing to the max. It enjoys this attention that we often don't give it. So we can start with the back of the head, top of the head and the sides of the head, soothing and relaxing these areas with this warmth and kindness, giving these areas a mental massage. And we can move the attention to the forehead and down the face, relaxing the forehead, around the eyes and around the mouth and chin, soothing those areas, relaxing the face. Now bringing to mind the neck and soothing and relaxing, giving the neck this mental massage. Allowing the neck to relax, soothing any uncomfortable areas, painful areas, with a little bit of extra warmth, kindness. Like a balm we're putting on the painful or sore areas. Now bringing to mind the left shoulder and moving our attention along the left shoulder slowly, soothing and relaxing the left shoulder. Allowing some of the tension, the tightness in the left shoulder to relax. And now bringing to mind the left arm, starting at the top of the left arm and moving our attention down the left arm, all around it, down to the hand and the fingers, with this mental massage, this gentle mental massage, allowing the left arm to relax. Now bringing to mind the right shoulder and moving our attention slowly along the right shoulder, soothing the right shoulder, relaxing, releasing any tension, any tightness, any stiffness, any uncomfortable areas with this warm, relaxing attention. Now bringing to mind the right arm, starting at the top of the right arm and moving our attention down the right arm, all around it, down to the hand and the fingers, soothing and relaxing the right arm. Now bringing to mind the back just below the shoulders and moving our attention down the back, across and down the back, relaxing area after area, and particularly any painful areas, sore areas, uncomfortable areas, giving this warm, kind, mental massage down the back. Now bringing to mind the front of the body, starting just below the shoulders and moving our attention down the front of the body, across it and down the front of the body, giving the front of the body this warm, relaxing, soothing attention, particularly any areas that are uncomfortable or we feel pressure, relaxing them, giving them an extra dose of this soothing, relaxing attention. Now we can bring to mind the left leg, starting at the top of the left leg and moving our attention down the left leg right to the foot and toes, all around the left leg, soothing it, giving it this kind, relaxing mental massage. And now we can bring to mind the right leg, starting at the top of the right leg and moving our attention down the right leg, all around it, down to the foot and toes, with this giving this soothing, warm, gentle attention to the right leg and foot. And now we can bring to mind the whole body, just sitting here, relaxed, soothed, calm, in the present moment, aware of sounds, feelings in the body, the temperature that we're experiencing in the room we're in, whatever is happening in the present moment. And now we can bring to mind a place in nature that we find brings up this feeling of peace for us, this perception and feeling of peace for us. It may be walking in a park, maybe walking on a beach, it may be climbing a hill or mountain. It can be wherever we have experienced a sense of peace, being at peace within ourselves. Sense of calm. And we can get in contact with this feeling that we have experienced of peace in wherever in nature we find that that feeling comes up. And we can give that feeling to the breath coming in and going out, so that the breath becomes peace. We're breathing in peace and we're breathing out peace. The breath and the feeling are one. And we can, if we wish, use the word even peace, breathing it in and breathing it out to the world. And if the mind wanders off, we can remember that place in nature, that special place where we've experienced this feeling of peace, of ease, of letting go. And as we're getting close to the end of the meditation, we can share whatever we experience, the feeling maybe of peace, of more stillness in the mind, ease, relaxation, maybe even a feeling of joy. Share that with whatever we experienced, with those wherever we are situated, here in the hall, and for those online, for whoever is in the building you are in, the room you are in, sharing that with them, this peace, for their happiness and well-being. And we can expand that sharing to the areas around wherever we find ourselves. Sharing this peace, this stillness, relaxation or ease or joy with all the beings that surround us, the human beings, of course, the animals, the insects, the unseen beings too. And we keep expanding that sharing of peace, of stillness, of kindness, further and further until we cover the whole of the world and all beings. So many people need peace, so many animals, beings need peace in this world, with its wars, its conflicts within the family, within relationships, within society. This peace soothes, gives people a refuge, a place of safety within themselves. And now we can come back to ourselves and just reflect for a few moments on what we experienced, how we feel. What feelings did we experience or not experience? And what caused those feelings to come up? And now we can develop the intention or aspiration to develop this perception of peace that leads to the feeling of peace, and that our life, our daily life, our experience is filled with this peace. Our words, our speech, our actions come from peace, being at peace with ourselves and with the world, and sharing this peace with everyone we encounter through our speech, through our actions, and just being peaceful. And we can anchor this feeling of peace in our hearts, and whenever we turn our mind to it, we can bring that feeling up again, like meeting an old friend. And now I'll ring the bell 3 times, and you're welcome to come out of meditation on the 3rd ring, or if you wish, please continue. And now we can slowly, those who wish to, open our eyes and stretch our bodies to make ourselves more comfortable. So I hope people experience some peace in their minds, and this perception of peace, this feeling of peace was present in the meditation. And of course this is the process of experience, really. We have perceptions and they drive, they affect, really, isn't it, our minds. We react to them. And so if we have a perception of peace, we see that this brings up very peaceful qualities in the mind, very associated good qualities. And if we have a view that peace is important for us, for the world, then that reinforces that perception of peace, and we can develop more and more of it, so that it becomes a cycle that builds this sort of peacefulness in our minds. And as this is a big message at Christmas and always needed all the time, peace, it's something we can develop. You see, the world is very unpeaceful. And where does peace begin? It begins in each person. And you can, sometimes one person who's very, very peaceful can affect so many others. It's almost contagious when there's a very, very peaceful person around. And we can see that with some of the spiritual leaders, teachers today and in the past. Their peace really affected and touched people. Their kindness, their goodwill, you could call it, also connected with people, so that when we encounter a peaceful person, we feel safe, we feel relaxed, we don't feel judged, we can be at ease and feel comfortable in their presence. So a peaceful person and becoming a peaceful person is something we can, or more peaceful person, is something we can all do. And hopefully we do that by repeating the experiences that bring up more and more peace in our lives through meditation, through the perceptions we develop and through the effects it has on our mind. So it just keeps building and building, developing this view of peace. So I'd like to invite people to ask questions from the floor. Yes, maybe the chairs will ask. Yeah, are there any? Yeah, they're all very peaceful here. That's good.
Shall I say something then, Ajahn, just to add something?
Oh, you can, yeah. There's a microphone, actually, Jack.
Ajahn, I must say in my meditation the last few weeks, I don't feel peaceful, but I feel a feeling that I can only describe as magnetised.
Right, magnetised.
When I meditate, I experience my whole body and the feeling around me and stuff. And I mean, it can be centred around the chest region or, but yeah, I don't. So it's not peaceful. It's not like, and I always question that.
Is this peaceful? Yeah.
Like it'd be nice to feel incredibly peaceful, but I feel this magnification type of experience. Have you heard of that before?
Magnetising, not because a magnet is like has this feeling of attraction, of maybe sticking to something. Is that how you experience that feeling?
I'm just totally centred within myself as I see the world out here.
Yeah.
So it's like, in other words, could be empowering, but that's not the right word though.
Stability, maybe. It's a very stable. Is it a very stable state, Jack?
It's a pleasant state.
Pleasant state. That's the important thing, really. Because if it's a pleasant state, then the mind will give more attention to it and it gets more strength as well. And usually when we have the sense of something sticking to a magnet, it's a sense of stability, it's magnetised. It's, still, stable, or, perhaps, yeah. So that's...
You're centred, I feel.
Centred is,
in this state, I feel very centred.
Centred, yeah. That's a really good experience, because centred usually means that there's not much agitation in the mind, and it's very, it is at peace with itself too. Actually, it's not going here and there, and it feels, it probably feels quite, in a sense, comfortable. Does it feel comfortable?
Very comfortable, but with a curiosity as to. You wonder, okay, so I'm at this stage, but then what will change and where will it go to? There's always that curiosity. Yeah, no,
that can be a good thing, but also can lead to it not going deeper, because it can be a way. Often in meditation, when we have meditation, we think, well, what's next? And it's like, when you say what's next, it means like, well, now I'd like more of something. And of course that's desire, whereas being, often the advice is to be more just content with that feeling, go deeper within that feeling and see where that takes us. So that can be helpful, actually, to do that, yeah. So no, that sounds sounds like a very pleasant experience. And it really points out that the nature of our mental experience is often, especially the deeper we go in meditation, it's very different from the world we experience through the five senses. And that's sometimes the way that we might experience it. It's hard to find words for that, actually. And Ajahn Brahm says, and especially very, very deep meditation, weird and wonderful, just unusual experiences, because we're entering the territory of the mind, not so much the world. We're so used to the five senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching, in that world. But when we go inside, it's a bit unfamiliar. We're sort of, the labels that we have for the external experiences of the five senses doesn't quite fit. But there are approximations for what's going on within. So this is why Ajahn Brahm says, when we experience this light, the people, when they go into deep meditation, or even before that, they can experience light in the mind, or a disc of light, so it's getting more focused. This is actually, Ajahn Brahm says, it's not really light, but that's the perception that comes up from our experience of the world, really, and we feel it's light, and it's a very common experience that people have. So it's interesting. The mind has its own territory, its own topography or geography or whatever. So thank you for that. That's good. That sounds very encouraging, I think. So that's great. And are there any questions online? Langdon, yes.
Thank you, Ajahn. Just before I read out the question, just like to mention we've been joined by a very international group of meditators tonight, or this morning, or wherever they are, because not only from Melbourne, from Sweden, France, South Africa, Hungary, and 2 places in the USA.
Right.
So right around the globe.
Gee.
And Rick from Indiana is asking, Ajahn, can you share some reflections on the importance of being safe and feeling safe in meditation and daily life practice?
Right. The importance of feeling safe in meditation and daily life practice. Essential, isn't it? We have to find a sense of safety. If we don't have a feeling of safety, the opposite really is insecurity, is feeling unsafe, isn't it, really? And this is a very challenging experience. It usually brings, when we feel unsafe, what does it bring? Anxiety, fear. And these are emotions that usually paralyze us. They're not emotions that lead to growth and ease in the mind and in the body. So it's very important that we find this sort of sense of safety and security within ourselves. When I hear that, or when you hear that, what do you think of? It immediately comes to my mind. Any ideas from the audience, live audience maybe?
Could you put that to us again?
When you hear of safety and security, what teaching of the Buddha comes to mind? Just almost immediately for me, because I think of the English translation. No, it's one we chant quite a lot. And it goes, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be happy. This is the English translation of the Karaniya Metta Sutta. We call it Metta Sutta, really. And of course, this is when we have this metta, this loving kindness or friendliness, I like very much, kindness. It does bring up a sense of security and freedom from fear, actually, because we have this sort of happiness and security within ourselves, this gladness, this happiness within our minds. And so this is really what we can use in our meditation. And whenever we're experiencing any feeling of insecurity, of feeling unsafe, then it's very good to give this friendliness to that feeling within us. We're experiencing it. Oftentimes people, very naturally, want to say, get out of here. I don't want to feel insecure, afraid, scared. I want to feel safe. And of course that rejection, that resistance doesn't help them this feeling of insecurity. It often feeds it, really, because we're adding a negative energy, aversion, which is quite natural, but just to be friendly, allowing. And of course, one of the big things that allows us to soften around these negative emotions is really to learn from them, just to take this as a teaching, and so that we're not so much experiencing it, so much caught up in that emotion, but more stepping back and looking at it, hopefully with this kindly feeling, kindly attention. And so when we do have that kindness, when we have that energy, that softer energy, it tends to dissolve that energy of fear, because when we have got this friendliness in mind, it's very hard to have feelings of not being safe or being insecure when we feel within ourselves this sort of happiness and ease in the mind. So I would encourage you to develop that metta, that friendliness, that kindness, loving kindness, or goodwill. This is what Ajahn Nissarano, you probably know this translation, goodwill. And this is a very important thing for us to be there for ourselves and to address any of the difficulties we experience mentally in our minds, the insecurities, the fear, the anger. There are so many of these negative ones that metta, this friendliness, will help us with. So this is very, very useful for us. So I hope that helps you, because definitely feeling unsafe is not a very pleasant experience, and it's not something that leads to a lot of growth unless we start to look at it and try to learn from it, of course, as well. So hopefully that was of use to the person online from Frankfurt, I think.
Hungary.
Hungary, yeah.
Thank you, Ajahn. There's a bit of a delay with the broadcast, and
right.
So when you asked about a teaching that connects with the idea of safety, Pooja wrote something, but it didn't appear until a little bit later, but she wrote, taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha as one of the teachings to do with safety.
Oh, right. No, that's an excellent one too. The Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha are ways of developing security, and the Buddha recommends that in the when he's what's it called, the Dajjagya Sutta, which is really the recollections of Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and saying that to the monks, take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, because the Buddha is without fear, without defilements, without anger, without all these negative qualities. And somebody that's like that is a refuge. And the Dhamma that leads to those qualities, of course, is also a refuge. And the Sangha, this is really the Arya Sangha, the Noble Sangha, those that have realised those teachings are also a refuge in that sense, that they have, they are without these negative qualities. And so this is a really safe refuge. If we take refuge in other things, somebody that isn't enlightened, somebody that isn't awakened, whether they be a monk, nun, whether they be a pop star, whether they be a sports star. Many people take refuge in a lot of these types of people, and these are not fitting refuges, really. You want to take refuge. Kim always said, take refuge in the highest. That's the best. It'll never let you down. Anything less than, enlightened or enlightened to some degree is going to lead to disappointment for us. So, very, very good point. It does, yeah. Something really steady and dependable in our lives. Yep. Thank you. That's great.
Sorry, you're right, Ajahn. That question was from Indiana.
Oh, was it Indiana?
Yeah, yes,
oh, right.
Rick from Indiana. Sorry, Rick. But he thanks you for the beautiful reflection.
All right, Rick, that's great.
Are there any more questions here in the hall?
No? Okay.
Just look around, everyone. Make sure.
The vast crowds.
You haven't missed anyone at the back there.
One's left already.
I think, Ajahn, that's all the questions for tonight. Thank you so much.
That's great.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for that. So this is very fitting at Christmas time to focus on peace, and certainly to focus on goodwill, on metta, and it brings up enormous gratitude and thanks to the Buddha for teaching in such detail how we can develop these good qualities and how we can develop the highest peace, the peace of nibbana, peace of enlightenment. So this is all on offer from the Buddha. So this is wonderful. So lots to be grateful for. And at Christmas time, we need more peace. More peace and goodwill. This is a great thing. So thank you very much for listening, for being here. And for those who wish, we can pay respects to the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, where this all came from.